All right, Fox News alert now. Deadly Russian missiles striking the city of Lviv this morning, killing at least 7 innocent civilians and injuring many more. It's a disturbing development because until now, Lviv and the rest of western Ukraine have been less affected and considered relatively safe as Ukrainian forces are more focused on the east. Retired Navy Commander Kirk Lippold joins us now. Commander, welcome back. First off, let's take a look at the big map here. We were looking at the occupation areas. For the longest time, we were focusing on every time you saw red, you saw where the troops were. We watched them back out of here, and the capital we thought was safe, and we thought places like Lviv would be safe. Why are the Russians doing some long-range bombing still?
Well, good morning, Brian. Thanks for having me on the show. I think what you're really seeing is the Russians are trying to demonstrate that there is no safe haven in Ukraine, and that they have the ability, despite the fact that they pulled away from Kyiv, that they are now operating in the eastern part of the country with the buildup toward taking the Donbass and down toward the Crimea and across toward Mariupol. Right. What you're really seeing is they're going to say there is no safe place.
I guess so. Let's move over and talk about where the real battle's raging. Their goal over here is to link this and make this all red. And there's a real pitched battle here in Mariupol. This big Donbass battle is going to take place. First off, when do you think that both sides will be ready to engage?
It's going to depend, Brian. Right now, with the new General Dvornikov, he is continuing to concentrate his forces, get in the necessary logistics and supplies, having learned their bloody lesson up around Kiev before. They want to make sure they're concentrated and ready to go for that attack. It'll probably still be several more days, which also benefits the Ukrainians, that we can get them the long-range artillery and weapons necessary to thwart that attack and cut them off.
So here's the great news. Taking out of this Moskva flagship battleship, a big moral victory, but it also told their Navy, back off, right? Because you are now in range of a Neptune missile, correct?
Absolutely. That was a great moral victory for the Ukrainian forces with those 2 Neptune missiles hitting the Moskva, sinking it. While it may have been a 40-year-old ship and there was obviously issues with damage control that the Russians have never paid attention to, at the end of the day, it was a command and control platform. They've got about 24 ships offshore operating within several miles, and what it did was really push them now 60 to 80 miles out. That means command and control is more difficult, the ability to do any fires is more difficult, and if they were to try and continue on down the coast toward Odessa, it gives them the inability to conduct naval gunfire support to support any forces ashore. So it's a great victory. While not a big one tactically, it certainly was that moral victory that they needed.
Well, I'll tell you what, tactically too, you have to wonder if they can hold out this area. And I'm wondering, where are international waters? I mean, right now they're mining the Black Sea. Do you think that there's some of the NATO's naval forces should play a role there in international waters, or are we that afraid?
Brian, I think at this point right now, what the United States, NATO, and other countries need to look at, it is very clear. Russia does not care about human rights. They do not care about international law. They do not care what effect they have in the fighting that's going on in Ukraine. So at this point, we're going to have to make a decision to say, are we going to continue to just slow roll this and ignore it, or are we truly going to give Ukraine the capacity to be able to not only defeat the Russians, but push them out of Ukraine in total, including the Crimea? Enough is enough. This is dragging on, and every day that we don't give them the military, the weapons they need, are hundreds more going to continue to die.
Commander, every time we calculate and try not to exasperate the situation, the Russians look at it as weakness. We should have known that from 2008, 2014, and then, of course, since the invasion took place. They only understand strength, and that's what we've got to start doing. Commander Kirk Lippold, thanks so much.